GameSpot's booth at E3. Joining me is Dave Cox, producer, head of product planning and development, and general guru over at Konami for Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2.
That's right.
Dave, welcome to the stage.
Thanks very much, Chris.
Pull the microphone a little closer.
Yep, thanks very much.
Maybe even closer still.
Even closer?
Yeah, we're going to hear you. Through here, that's a good measure, I think.
Absolutely.
Dude, Lords of Shadow 2. Last E3 we were talking Castlevania on the handheld platform, but now we are in glorious high definition here with Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Very sexy and intriguing trailer shown during Konami's pre-E3 show last week.
That's right, yeah. I mean, this is the second part of the Lords of Shadow trilogy. We had the epilogue in the last game that kind of set up this story. We saw that Dracula awakened in the present day, and this game takes place in present day. The demo that we're showing today, though, is Dracula at the height of his powers, back in the past, and you get to play him and you get to see, the kind of abilities that you're going to have later on in the game.
Oh, one of those little, here's what you're going to have,
yeah.
Now let's go. Because modern-day Dracula is not looking so good. He's ready to be rid of the shackles of immortality because apparently it's hard being immortal.
Absolutely, yeah. So Zobek made him an offer, if you remember, in the last game, to end his immortality, and Dracula's going to take him up on that offer. So you start the game, as this kind of ultimate badass, and then, as you say, you then go to old decrepit Dracula with no powers, and you have to get them all back.
But this is in his heyday. Yep. This is he's garbed in his sumptuous robe, which looked really awesome there in that pre-battle section.
Yep.
And he is wielding that whip like a demon.
Absolutely. This is a whip that he can summon through his own powers, and it's almost like a parody of the weapon that you had in the original game. But this time, obviously, he's got other weapons. So this is a new feature of the game. He has another weapon called the Void Sword, and he has a weapon called the Chaos Claws. Right now,
he's diversifying a little bit.
Absolutely,
You live for hundreds of years. You like a little variety.
You learn new tricks. You know. Right now, he's biting that guard, and that's another new feature. You can grab enemies and use the blood to replenish some of your health.
And also look like a total badass.
Absolutely.
I love just the casual, I'm done with you now.
That's right.
Who's next?
Next.
So obviously, Lords of Shadow, very combat-heavy action title. With introducing the new weapons, what are you guys hoping to do for that combat feel? What are you hoping is gonna those elements are gonna bring to the gameplay?
Well, I think people really like the combat of the last game, but what we wanted to do was we wanted to refine it and build it up and make it even more interesting, give players more variety in their combat options. So we introduced the new weapons, but each new weapon also has its own combination attacks associated with it. So you've got a lot more options in able to take down enemies, and it's all very well giving players these new toys, but you've got to make the enemies worth their while. So we've beefed up the enemy AI, and we've made the enemies a lot more intelligent. And some enemies have defenses. And you can see here the Void Sword. This is a weapon where Dracula can recoup health from enemies. Each hit gives him more health back.
Nice. And that's, of course, the red bar in the top left filling up. What is the blue bar on the bottom left?
The blue bar, that is your Void power. In the demo, your Void power is constantly refilled, but in the final game, what you need to do is you need to play very well in order to get blood, and the blood you can then put into your Void or Chaos container. So we reward players that play well. This is interesting. This guy here, he's got a shield.
And he's very excited about it.
He is very excited. He's like egging him on.
Look at this shield that I have.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
You've got to break that shield, right? Because if you just use the Void Sword or the whip against it, it's just going to bounce off. So using these weapons called the Chaos Claws heats up the defense of the enemy, and that allows him to break it down.
Shatter it. Oh, nice.
And then he can switch weapons if he wants, or he can stick with what he's got and totally smash that guy up.
Does your enemy have a shield? Light your arms on fire and punch it into parts.
Absolutely.
I like it. I like the way you guys think over there. All right, so this is the heyday. Let's just talk a little bit about what happens come modern day.
Yeah.
You are playing as Dracula, significantly reduced in power, but at that point he wants to die. He wants to be rid of his earthly life because, it's tiresome.
Absolutely.
How does he go about that?
Well, Satan is returning to the world, and Zobek needs help from Dracula because obviously Dracula is the only person who's ever defeated Satan before. So in order to get that help, he offers him a bargain. Zobek is the only one that can end his immortal life because Zobek is death himself. So there's kind of this bargain that you do something for me and I'll do something for you. The interesting thing about the modern setting is that although it is in a modern city, it's not a city like Chicago or New York. It's a city that's an imagined city. It's a city that feels like it belongs in the Castlevania universe.
Okay.
There's gargoyles, stained glass windows. It feels like it belongs.
Still very gothic.
Absolutely. But this time, we've beefed up the exploration aspect. It's not a linear game anymore like it was before. It's much more of an open world setting, so players can really freely explore the world, and they can follow the story that we've laid out for them. But if they want to, they can also go off on their own track and find new items, new enemies. Lots of secrets.
Interesting. Yeah, historically, that kind of exploration of a large open space and backtracking, once you've gotten new abilities, has been a part of the Castlevania series. So is that something you guys are rededicating and refocusing to here?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of fan feedback from the last game. People really liked the game, but there were things that they felt we could improve. One of them was the exploration aspect, the linearity of the game. The other was obviously the free camera. It's very hard to do exploration when you have a camera that's fixed.
Uh-huh.
So by freeing up the camera, it enables us to create environments that players can more fully explore. And I think that's more kind of what Castlevania fans expect from a Castlevania game.
All right, well, I'm looking in the twitch.tv/GameSpot chat here. Gonna throw a few questions at you, Dave. Question from Voff. Do we see some Alucard sometime in this game?
Well, certainly he's in the trailer. So I would say he's going to make an appearance.
There you go. That is a yes. What about a question about how many weapons you will get overall? We've of course mentioned the three. You've got the whip, the void sword, the chaos claws. Are there other ancillary items that you can use in weapons?
Absolutely. If you remember in the last game, we had the secondary weapons, and again we have secondary weapons which we've significantly boosted. We're not talking about those weapons today, but certainly there's far more than there were in the previous game.
All right, and of course one of the great things about Lords of Shadow was those big-scale boss battles, which we're getting a little taste of right now.
Absolutely, yeah. We have the Titans. This was a concept that we brought to the original game, but the Titans were a little bit limited in what you could do with them. You had to follow a set path and then you'd break the seals. This time, we're allowing the players to actually fight on Titans. Titans become almost levels in themselves. And later on in this demo, you get a taste of that. And we want to surprise players with lots of interesting characters and interesting boss fights. So, one thing about this game is we're going to constantly surprise players. I think that's important.
Constant surprises from Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. More questions for you, Dave. From Biro Island. Question. This game looks so good. Is it next gen as well as current gen?
No, it's only planned for current gen, so it's coming out on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC via Steam.
All right. And question. So, people are curious about RPG elements, which I guess in this case sort of means, gaining your stats, gaining your skills, doing some kind of choice about what abilities you want to put anything into. Is it something the player chooses to navigate, or is it sort of a set progression?
This is essentially a hack and slash game, but we do have the mastery system, which is a new system we've introduced where you can power up your weapons. So by using the combos, by buying combos and using those combos, you can assign experience to the actual weapon, and the weapon then gets upgraded, and that obviously helps you a lot. So the void sword, for example, will recoup more life with each hit instead of less.
Yep.
And also you get additional moves through the mastery system. So this is kind of adding an RPG light element to the game.
For someone, Wara X, wondering, for someone who has not played a Castlevania game before, this, obviously, you said the second in the Lords of Shadow Plant trilogy. What's the best way for them to get sort of caught up on the cutscenes and the story and such like that?
If you haven't played the first game, I don't think you need to worry. You can pick up this game because we have a big recap at the beginning of the game where we explain the story. We want to make it easy for new players to come in and enjoy the game. Obviously, it would be better if you play the original game and Mirror of Fate, and it's going to give you more of a backstory, but it's absolutely not necessary.
All right, Mirror of Fate, of course, being the 3DS title, recently released. And Dave, anything else you want to mention about Lords of Shadow 2 before we wrap it up?
Well, yeah, players can expect a much bigger adventure this time around.
Much bigger?
Much bigger. We are not able to make short games anymore, so we want to give players value for money, and the story of Dracula is going to going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's a very unexpected twist to the story.
Well, I think you gave folks a taste of unexpected twists towards the end of the first Lords of Shadow in that DLC, so there's good reason to believe you'll deliver more in store. David Cox, thank you so much for coming by the stage show, showing off Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Actually, when's this game coming out, Dave?
It's coming out this winter.
This winter. Winter's coming, and so is Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. And we are coming back to the live stage show very shortly for our next live demo. I would tell you what it is, but that would take too long. Let's just get out of here. We'll be back.